Okay, so we're talking about these hail repair pop-ups that are seem to be popping up, pun fully intended. So tell me what you know.
So it is not uncommon for people to come in from out of town to set up these pop-up shops, just to kind of take on some of the, we had so many people experience hail damage a couple weeks ago, and so there's a lot of overflow, and so, but there's also a lot of local companies who set up a pop-up shop just to kind of be more visible. So that maybe so there may be some in-town pop-up shops, there may be some out-of-town pop-up shops, there may be some totally bogus companies setting up pop-up shops as well.
Mm-hmm. What are the signs, if you are going with one of these things and if something's going through your head and you're like, this might be something I might not want to be putting my money into?
Yeah, so with anything, you first of all, contact your insurance company if you had some damage, and they'll tell you kind of what to do next. They may even have some companies in mind that you may choose, but it's also easier on the company that you do choose if you already have the claim number. So go ahead and do that first. And then you want to make sure that you do your research, so that you never want to make an emotional decision. So if somebody happens to knock on your door or stop you in a parking lot, or you happen to see an ad that looks really good, you never want to respond to those things without doing your research first.
Have you had any people or you've talked to who have either, I don't want to say fallen victim, but have interacted with these kind of things?
Yeah, I mean, so this happens all the time. Either somebody stopped in a parking lot and they say, hey, I can do repair to your vehicle, just get the contact information, they set something up and they take the money and run, or they might say you don't have to file a deductible, and in some cases that is okay. You don't have to pay your deductible, and in some cases that does work. There's some ins and outs to that. If the company is within the insurance company's network, then you can't do that. Also, you have to be careful about, it depends on the process. Like if you're filing, if you go to the shop first and they file the claim, kind of hard to tell whether the deductible was included in that estimate as well. So again, you just want to be careful and make sure that you're dealing with a reputable company and that you have done your research on them and they have a history of doing good business and they have good relationships with their customers. And we always say go to bbb.org to make sure that you're dealing with a company you can trust, and you can make sure the company has a profile on BBB. If they're accredited, that means that they have agreed to stand by their work, and they have a good history with their customers.
Kind of wanted to hit on this again. Some people will come to the area. We obviously had that big storm that kind of came out of nowhere, and now these people were getting calls. Myself, I got a call from somebody that I'd never met before, and walking outside my apartment this morning, I got this ad and was like, where are these people coming from? So.
Yeah, so where are they coming from? So they know to target a certain area. It's with technology the way it is right now, it's very easy to target, could even target people who live in an apartment complex or, in a certain neighborhood. And so it's very easy for them to geo-track, to target people who live within a certain area or who happen to be in a certain space at a certain time. So it's not unusual that you would be targeted. Again, you just really want to make sure that you do your homework. We took screenshots of different ads that we had seen targeting our area, and most of them were companies who were advertising here, but they weren't local. And so that's something you really want to consider as well, because even though they may or may not be a legitimate company, let's say they're a legitimate company and they actually do have an office in Fort Worth or somewhere that's not here, in our East Texas area, and let's say they do the job for you, but then you find out that they missed something, really going to be difficult for you to get that fixed, because either you'll have to go to them or they'll have to come here, and it just may not work out. So we do recommend that you work with somebody who has a physical location here locally. Some of the telltale signs of somebody who may not be legitimate is somebody who wants you to pay for everything up front, somebody who has maybe, we want you to get it in writing, but maybe they have some blank spaces in that contract, so you never want to fill out a contract that has blank spaces in it. They're really, really high pressure, and they don't want you to take the time to do your research before you make a decision. A legitimate company is going to let you do your research and check them out and make sure that they're a good company before you give your money to them.
Yeah.
We've seen a bunch of cars was pretty severe hail damage. We had several in our parking lot that night that got damaged. And we've had customers that have showed up with cars that have actually been totaled. The insurance companies have totaled them because of the hail damage. And they're wanting to find out if I think it's worth it to let the insurance company pay them for the car and then buy it back and keep it even with the hail damage, and what's the options there. But that hail damage, that hail we had kind of caught everybody by surprise, I think. And it wiped out some of the dealerships. I think some of the dealerships had massive damage, millions of dollars worth of damage. So not to mention the damage to the local area roofs and trees and gutters and all kinds of stuff. So it was pretty bad.
So are you seeing any issues with like the supply chain, trying to get parts in, stuff like that?
There's been a problem with parts, getting parts for the last couple years, post-COVID. It's kind of worse now because the body shops are needing body panels and fenders and roof panels and hoods and trunks and things more so to a greater degree than they were 2 or 3 months ago. So the need for those parts has quadrupled. So yeah, there's a pretty good supply issue going on now, and it's only going to get worse as more and more parts get ordered and more people finally take their cars in. I've got friends who haven't even contacted their insurance company yet because it's just such a backlog, So once everybody's in the lineup, it's going to really get bad. There's actually been some people call here, and they'll say, "This is Donnie. I'm just calling about to see if anybody there had any hail damage. It's pretty substantial. Everybody in the city had hail damage. We're making a list to try to get your cars in as soon as possible. If you'd like, I can take a deposit over the phone. We'll set you up with a person that'll come over at a certain time and date to work on your car." It's happening. Anytime you have any kind of disaster, whether it be a hurricane, tornado, hail damage, fire, anything, you're always going to have scammers come out of the woodwork. My advice to everybody would be, number one, don't ever give anybody a credit card number over the telephone for a deposit to some guy you've never even met. That's silly. Number two, don't pay any deposits for anything up front, especially for these dent repair guys. There's a lot of guys in Tyler now that are from Oklahoma, Dallas, Fort Worth, Galveston, Waco, and they're here to make some quick bucks, and they're gone. And so if you pay them money to fix your car, and then you're supposed to show up there in 3 months to get your car fixed, you show up and his trailer's gone, oh well. So don't do it. And another big problem too that people are experiencing, that they always experience with hail damage, there's guys out there fixing hail damage that really is not qualified to do so. And they'll find out that in a few months' time, when the temperatures get warm again, those dents will reappear.